Hey everybody, it's the Giro d'Italia wrap-up show. We skipped stages 19, 20, and 21. I had some things going on. Welcome everybody, this is Between Two Wheels Podcast. Tyler Yonke coming to you on May 27th. We're going to go over the 107th Giro d'Italia, stage 19. Like I said, stage 20 and 21. But really, we're just going to kind of skip over those real quick, and we're going to talk about the Giro. Just do a recap here. I thought we'd do it on a Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to you all. And I know Victor's in the chat. Yes, Victor, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you can hear us just fine, and everyone out there. So let me talk real quick about. We'll walk through some of these. I'm hoping you guys all got to see the good racing over the weekend. We had, and here's stage 19. I mean, PCS game. We don't want to look at that. We had a little bit of chances for some GC stuff to kick off. And basically it was stage 19. We were like, probably not so much GC stuff related, probably a breakaway. I think I had said Alaphilippe style. He does get up in the break, but then, there we go. But Julian went too deep early. He got a stage win. Good for him. Decent stage a tour for a decent tour result for Soudal Quickstep, right? And then we had stage 20, which was the second to last day, and it had two big climbs in it. They went up over this Grappa mountain twice, pretty long, like 18 kilometers, I think, or so. And we got a chance to really be able to take look at this. We're getting spammed in the chat here from something, so I'm gonna block the user and delete that. I don't know what that was about. Okay, and we'll delete the comment. But basically, it got a great chance for, once again, the GC guys to come out and play. And then yesterday, we were going to have a good sprint finish and a chance for Jonathan Milan, Tim Miller, once again, top 1-2 sprinters here. Going into that stage, you'd had Jonathan Milan with 3 wins, Tim Miller with 2, head and shoulders above the other people by far. 2 better of the lead-outs. Trek has the best lead-out, and we'll do a little bit of talking about that one. But here's the stage we had, and then we'll go over all the results here. I thought we would just slide through kind of the reactions here to some of these. This is stage 19. Like I said, we had already seen the profile there. Some good climbing up to the top, but not enough where the GC riders are really going to probably make the biggest threat. 150 some kilometer race. Once again, break starts right away, and you get a good group up the road. You had Van Dram, you had several different riders up there. The GC groups were content with letting this whole thing go up there. You had some EF riders, once again. Honoré, I believe, was up there. Steinhauser, I believe, as well. You had EF rider, was it Tantric or Jan Tratnik, perhaps? Once again, Polti Cometi up there. Julian Alaphilippe leading his way over the climbs. A little bit of rain comes in there, but in the end, you had Decathlon's Van Dram. He really set out, getting rid of Gerolsteiner and coming over again for another win for Decathlon. So they obviously got Valentin Palapentri got the win, and then Van Dram, he gets the win as well for the Decathlon AG2R team. So remember, brown shorts last year, this year, new shorts. And much different thing, and nothing really changed as far as the overall goal. Jonathan Milan still in the points. Who else here? What else do we got here? There's the points. There's the King of the Mountains for Tadej over Gerald Steinhauser, who's coming up, but Giulio Pilazzari and Nairo clipping on the heels. I don't think it's too far for Pilazzari. The young rider jersey going into after stage 19, still Taberi, because once again, in time and errors in about 41 seconds. Not much going to happen there. So then we had stage 20. Now, stage 20, that was not what I wanted to do. I accidentally deleted that one. Stage 20, like I said, we'll go over here on the profile. Tadej had a completely pink bike. Weather seemed kind of shitty at the beginning, but they're going to go over this Grappa pass 2 times. And they go up once, going over, then they go up again, and you can see it right there. And then there's, 20, 30 kilometers. There's a little pitch going up here with this sprint spot after they go over the top. But the riders, and I know Tadej didn't even do any recon because he basically was, it's like, we're going to do it twice. We'll see what happens the first time. and then we'll go up and over the second time. So the GC riders, they did start in the rain, but luckily the rain disappeared. There was a break up the road, but for the most part, that break wasn't going to be, you would expect to be able to make it to the finish. 90-some kilometers are coming into this climb. And here is what we talked about this from day one, which is the UAE team. Did they have the team to really set this out? Were they kind of the B team? Because look who's going to the Tour de France. Almeida, Yates, Brandon McNulty. These are just support riders, okay? And there's several other ones as well. Obviously, Tadej is going to be going there too. So this one, you have Rafael Majka, who's now won, he's been support rider and been on a team for Vuelta win with Contador, Tour de France with Pogacar, and now the Giro win, because we're assuming it's going to happen here, with Pogacar as well. Rafael Majka has been great. I mean, he's the Sepp Kuss of the UAE team for this. He's been the loyal lieutenant doing all the hard work. But were the other riders going to be able to take on this burden as well? They had to bring Stockenlagen in here at the last minute. They also brought Jonathan Milan, which is like a sprinter. But you know what? I mean, there were some problems early on, but I think Tadej overcomes them. So we're coming into this climb. UAE is just setting a nice tempo, slowly bringing back the break. They had 154 over everybody. Pozzovivo's having trouble over the back. But there was the group up front, and Pellizzari, he decided he's going to take off and get the KOM points. And now, even if he were to win the last one, he would be 2 points short of getting the jersey itself, but he would be in second place, at least guaranteeing himself there. UAE does just fine with the pace going over the top, but over the first time, Filippo Zana is the first one to get dropped and distanced. He's not going to be able to have it in there. Then they're coming up here up the Grappa the second time, and at the bottom, Pellizzari takes off. Remember, he's the youngest rider in the race. He was the one on was it the Queen Mountain stage or one of those that he was up the front, and he got the glasses from Tadej after Tadej won. Tadej caught him and put him, and he got a second place. So he's had a good tour, though. Okay, he'll get a contract somewhere, because he's put himself out there. Now we come into this climb, and UAE is looking good. Stockenlagen had gone. Gerolsteiner then hits the front before Domain Novak comes up here, and Tadej is in control the whole time. You get Gerolsteiner up here. What's his name? I think that's who it is. No, not Gerolsteiner. It's I'm losing the name here for UAE, but he's on the front here, and then you had Doman Novak and then Rafael Majka coming up there, and Tadej is all along. Matter of fact, when one of the guys peels off, he gives a thumbs up, but at 36 kilometers to go and the 5.6 left on the climb, Rafael Majka starts to turn the screws. You're already seeing trouble in the back with a little bit of a separation there from Geraint Thomas. Danny Martinez is holding on, though. Tiberi's holding on. And Einar Rubio for Movistar is actually holding on, kind of having a stellar day. Storer is also on there, but 36 kilometers to go, 5.4 minutes in the top. Tadej springs out, and look at the face there of Rafael Majka. He's having trouble. These guys, though, have learned, hey, I'm not even going to react to this shit. I'm just going to let it go. And there he goes. And so with, just a 4.8 to the top still, there's Tadej Pogacar sweeping in everybody, comes up to Pellizzari. Now there's a little bit of a descent, and then they kick up to the top. He actually hits his little side of his hip, Tadej that is, saying, yeah, get on board and you can come. Tiberi, Danny Martinez, and Einar Rubio do have a gap, though, on Arensman, Geraint Thomas, although Geraint Thomas got rid of Arensman, and it's starting to separate things out. This is one of the last days here, and so you're starting to see some big differences of who can go there. Michael Storer's hanging on. Ben O'Connor's having trouble. Ben O'Connor's having trouble and holding on to Geraint Thomas. Geraint Thomas said it was one of the horrible days. I think it was his birthday. But who's on the lead there is Valentin Parapente, and he's been able to pace them all the way to the top of the climb. Over the top here, Pellizzari comes in, I think, second place on the King of the Mountains, as Tadej had gone over the top. Not too far back. Now there's a decent gap between Martinez, though. There's about 15 seconds between Martinez and Geraint Thomas, but almost 2 minutes to the group Martinez to Tadej. 5.4, he's put on 2 minutes. But once again, they're racing among themselves, and they're having a lot of trouble. Tadej screams down the descent. The other guys are going down, and they had that kicker. Thomas had come back to Martinez, but Martinez attacks here again, tries to really get separation to make sure he doesn't give Thomas a chance at all. But in the end, they do come back together. Tadej Pogacar gets the win. I mean, just resplendent in complete pink. Not sure how I feel about that. And then the other group comes back. Actually, Ben O'Connor comes into the finish, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Ben O'Connor's kind of leading this out, but yet he's looking behind as if he's kind of worried about the sprint. But Valentin Parapente actually be able to kick and gets the second place over Danny Martinez. So it takes us a few bonus seconds there. But Danny Martinez comes into third, and then you had Tiberi, Einar Rubio, Pellizzari, Geraint Thomas, and Ben O'Connor. So there's the triumphant win. Grossschartner, there you go. Gersteiner was in the 90s World Tour team. That's right. I'm mixing all that up. Grossschartner is the rider. Gersteiner was the team that they were a water company, I believe. That's who Levi Leipheimer rode for. They also had Georg Tochnig. I think he was the one with the real bad teeth. Gets like second or third in the Tour, and had drug issues. I think that's right. I could be wrong on some names. It's been proven here many times before. But Tadej Pogacar, 207 over Valentin Parapente, Daniel Martinez, Einar Rubio. Antonio Tiberi, Einar Rubio, Giulio Pellizzari, Geraint Thomas, Ben O'Connor, Michael Storer, and Ralph Almica comes in 308. Storer at 231. The other ones are at 207. So we'll walk through the whole GC situation, but that's really what you have there. Tadej, 956. That's going to be his winning margin over Danny Martinez, because the last day is just going to be into Rome. And when you go into Rome like that, it's a sprint stage. I'm not a fan of these final day, processional situations that you have. But, okay, so now we're going to come in. So I'm not going to show the whole stage here because it gets somewhat boring. But there is a bonus here because this is 4.3 to go. Michael Storer actually had a crash because they come into the cobble. There's a cobbles, about a 9.5 kilometer circuit that they end up doing there in and around Rome. And Michael Storer crashes at one point, or had a mechanical. I'm trying to remember which one it was because I was at this, you don't care until the last 7 or 8 kilometers. He does climb his way, but he's having trouble trying to get back to the group. 7 or 8, 9 kilometers to go. Jonathan Milan now has a flat tire. He pulls off to the side of the road. He waits there an interminable amount of time. He's standing there waiting for the team cars. Everyone's coming past. He finally gets the team car there, and then he tries to put his head unit on. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he can't get that on, so he puts it in his back pocket. Fine. So Little Trek now has a bit of a dilemma. What do? Do they send everyone back and kind of like, we have no choice but to get him back up here because we can't even do a lead out if we don't have here? That is a plausible explanation. The more people we send back, the faster we get him here, the less everybody burns themselves. We're all going to be burnt just a little bit, and then we have a chance for the sprint. Or do you send everybody back? Now, they had already done some chasing earlier too, so there was some problems. I think Lopez was up there trying to chase because there was a break up in the road. Do you send everyone back and keep like Stuyven, Toons back up to the front, because they're going to be your lead out, and you're going to need them to do what they can do to put yourself in position. They decided to send, I think, everybody but Stuyven back. They sent Toynes back as well. And they did get Jonathan Milan, with the help of some cars, back up to the group. It's interesting, at one point, he comes flying past, he being Jonathan Milan, just putting on the power, and he flies right past Storer, who's still trying to get up there to the group. So they finally get themselves up to the group here, and so those 4 or 5 kilometers to go, there's got some bits and pieces. I'm not going to break down the sprint too much, but you can see Little Trek here with 3.3. They got Milan back in the group, and they are piloting themselves back up to the finish. Groupama FDJ's on the front, Alpecen's on the front, and there is a lot. If you really look at this sprint in detail, you see a lot of elbowing going on. You saw Danny Martinez up there. He's getting pushed around by Alpecin. He's pushing back. Tadej Pogacar is getting pushed around by Alpecin Phoenix. Saw Alpecin Phoenix trying to put Caden Groves into position to finally get their stage win, which they've been. Jimmy Jensen, I think he was off the front in the group early. It's just one more person that they don't have to help lead them out. You got Walsheet up here for Jayco, trying to help for Caleb Ewing, who we're at this point, we're like, dude, it's not going to happen. Tadej even gets on the front. I know some people were like, hey, maybe he's going to sit up. They're going to do this thing where they have the whole group across the road and they're going to post up. sorry, you've got Jonathan Milan in there, and Tadej still wants to help him out. And by the way, getting yourself up front is one of the best things you can do probably for yourself. So he comes up here. Now you see the whole UAE team, their colored shoulders. It really gives a vibe of the telecom team back in the day. Sketchy, but anyway, that's what they have. And all in pink. Tadej still hitting the front. 2 kilometers to go. Tadej's in the front there. You get Alpecin coming up the middle. And some Movistar riders. You've got the Tudor team trying to move up the outside as well. Trek finally gets themselves up to the front here with 1.7 going around these corners. And then what are you going to do? Well, they're looking sure, making sure that they have their rider and Jonathan Milan. So the question is here, when you have this, and then they do hit cobbles at the last like 250, they come around to right-hand corner, how is this going to play itself out for Jonathan Milan, who had to put a lot of energy to get himself back up here? Also with the team being, have to deplete themselves coming back up here, and what's really going to happen? Well, let's take a look. They come around the last corner, and right this point here, let's see if we could show it here. They come around the last corner. We'll do this. We'll do it here. We'll do a little staccato. You've got Movistar leading out. Tim van Dijk's on second place here, and then kind of coming around the outside is the Trek rider leading out Milan. But as you can see, right already kicking his way or on the outside is Tim Melier as the corner's kind of bendy. Tim Melier decides to just hit it hard, and now the tarmac is just fine here. And then boom, here's where they hit the cobbles. And his point was, he said this in the interview, was he wanted to hit the cobbles with speed. He wanted to come around the outside, and he did that to perfection. Now the problem is, you can see the lead out rider from Movistar, he's looking to his right. He starts to drift to his left as Tim Melier comes around him, and he drifts more. Then Tim dives across, uses him in a sense as a way of putting Milan so Milan can't draft off of him. And then there's a kick to the line. You can see the bikes moving around with the cobbles. Milan finally gets on his wheel, but it looks close here from the front. But when you look at the overhead, it's not even close. Tim Melier gets the outright win. Jonathan Milan in second, and I think Caden Groves in third. Van Dijk's there. Actually, Gaviria is actually there. Caleb's around 8th place because that's what he does now. So Tim Melier with his third victory on the Giro. Tadej Pogacar comes in with the stage win. With the overall GC win. And now let's take a look at the results page, because I think that's where we want to take a look, and then we'll just kind of get a little bit breakdown of what we think about riders and what they've done. Stage 21. Flat as can be, boring until the sprint of, as always. Jonathan Milan comes in second, Tim Melier, so they each had 3 wins on the day for the tour. Caden Groves in third, that might have been one of his better finishes there. Fernando Gaviria in 4th place, definitely his best finish, kept coming stronger. Tim van Dijk for Team Visa Lisa bike in 5th. Stanislaw Nielowski, remember he was a 2nd place at one point for Cofidis in 6th. Alberto Danesi, top 7. Giovanni Lonardi for Team Polti Comete in 8th. Caleb Ewan in 9th. Donovan Grunden for Arkea in 10th. And there you go. Anybody else? Lawrence Pithy in 13th. Jonathan Narvaez in 6th. So I'm trying to see if Juan Sebastian for UAE, there he is, down in 19th. I don't know. So what's Tadej doing there for some lead out? As far as the overall goes, Tadej, almost 10-minute win, goes pink from stage 2 through the finish. Had a chance if he was in third. He got a third on stage 1 to Jonathan Narvaez. If he had won that, he's in pink for the duration of and that might have been his only downfall. Not a perfect Giro, which I said he had a chance of doing. So he comes here to this, it's what I consider depleted racing. I don't think Geraint Thomas, he was sick. He had trouble. I don't know if he was so sick, but he definitely said he had some bad days, and he did a good job to, I think, kind of hang in there. He didn't have the Geraint Thomas style that we've seen before, where he's able to actually ride some people off his wheel in the mountains and just, make some gaps. Ben O'Connor got sick, so he had some troubled days. Danny Martinez was maybe the most consistent we've ever seen him. Besides his 5th place, I want to say 2020, 2021, somewhere in there, probably 21, to his teammate Egan Bernal. But he did fantastic for this, coming in 2nd place with a almost a minute over Geraint Thomas. Ben O'Connor, like I said, 12:07, pretty consistent for him. His first day up Europa, if he hadn't tried to go with Pogacar, who knows what he had been able to do, perhaps get on the podium up there as well. Antonio Tiberi, remember the guy that killed the cat a few years ago. He killed the cat, and they made a big deal about it, but, Israel Primatech, they're in the race. Oh, sorry, a little political. Tiberi, I think he's overcome that cat issue, and he's up here and gets a young rider's jersey. Got stronger and stronger as the race went on. Put some time into Arnsman, who was sixth place. He did able to hold on to it. Einar Rubio does move up, not on a place, but on time-wise. He's seventh place there, 15:52. Jan Hurt, Sodal Quick Steps, top rider, 18:05. Roman Bardet, he distanced himself on the stage 20, coming in ninth place. Michael Storr, 21:11. He was up there in that end on stage 20, and he was able to, once again, fight his way back on stage 21 after he had his problems off the back. Getting into the top 10 for Tudor Pro Cycling. And Michael Storr, I give him a lot of credit because early on in the stages, or in the stages of the tour, remember he was up in some breaks. He was really trying to put his way up there, either get a stage win or do whatever it is. He ends up with a top 10 in this race after doing a lot of work out there instead of just biding his time and holding his energy in a sense, and was able to actually get a top 10 for a first World Tour event that they've had. So kudos to him. Filippo Zana shrinks down a little bit. Team Jaco Alula down there 11th place. Fortunato, he had trouble as well. Simon Geschke gets a top 15 at 14th place, 33 minutes. And Rafael Majka, the ultimate team man, 37:05. And we'll stop here with these last two. Palapentre, Valentin, 43 minutes, did get himself a stage win. And Damiano Cruz, a former second place winner or place holder at the Giro, comes down in there 20th. Caruso at 17th. Domenico Pozzovivo, 56 minutes, 20th place. Yikes, that's a long ways back. Look at the last place, though. You're looking at here, 6 hours. It's crazy. I don't think they did a time cut this whole time. Points race, Jonathan Milan, 352 to 225 over Caden Grove. KOM jersey, 270 to 206 for Tade and Giulio Pellizzari over, and Steinhauser. Pellizzari gets to wear the blue jersey, at least on the last day. Youth jersey, we talked about that. Antonio Tiberi over Arnsman, and the team's classification decathlon, 44 minutes over Ineos. And I think, decathlon to me was, there's multiple kinds of team standouts you had this year. One is just the team competition and how some of these other teams played themselves, right? They being Decathlon was able to really support Ben O'Connor. You saw that on stage 20 when he needed it desperately. I made that analysis about Arnsman leaving Geraint Thomas, didn't even give a chance to see if this pacing is going to help him or not. The pacing definitely helped Geraint Thomas and Ben O'Connor. The Valentin Parapente did on stage 20 going up the Graba and holding and then able to catch Danny Martinez. That could have been because Einar Rubio is up front. You had Tiberi. There was could totally have switched places here, and those guys were able to benefit from the team riding, unlike Arnsman. Now it was a shorter duration that I talked about, but Arnsman leaving Geraint Thomas earlier in like stage 16, 17, somewhere in there, it was a problem to me. Be that as it may, I think Decathlon came out. They get 2 stage wins, Parapentre and Van Dram. They win the team competition. They get a rider, Ben O'Connor, even though he was sick, up there in 4th place. They were in the breaks. They were doing a lot of work. I was really impressed to see them, and so I was really glad to see that, obviously, as well. How did Ineos do? Well, Ineos starts off. They get a stage win. They also get they got 2 stages wins, actually. Ghani wins the time trial. But Narvaez wins the stage 1, gets the pink jersey. That's not so bad. Geraint Thomas on the podium. I was actually enjoying to see, good to see them do what they could. What's interesting is 2nd place, Danny Martina, was Martinez with Bora. Really nothing to put your hat on other than he gets a third place. Nothing else happened with that team. Otherwise, they weren't podiums as far as any other riders. I know Danny Martinez gets up there in the stage finishes. That's fine. But I think he got third place maybe was his best on the racing here. Did an okay for Danny. He did an okay time trial. He really put himself out there to show a little bit better. As far as Polte Comete goes, I mean they were up there in the breaks. They didn't get a stage win. Also, Bardiani with Polazari, that was kind of a showing to do. Tudor with Storer, that was something to be had. Pseudo Quickstep getting stage wins, 3 by Tim Malier, 1 by Alaphilippe, and Alaphilippe showing us throughout this race that he still got something to present, and I think that might kickstart him going further up as well. EF Gersteiner, no, not Gersteiner, something Hauser. What's his name again? Now I'm gonna let's go to the KOMs because it's listed here. Steinhauser, Jesus. Georg Steinhauser, glad to see EF get their stage win. Really glad to see how he did it. That was quite impressive. Piccolo, he tried as well, but I think he did crash out, so he didn't really get the stage win. But I was glad to see EF finally make their way. Little trek, very impressive with their lead out, getting the stage wins for Jonathan Milan, 3 of those in there. Alpecin, De Koenig, they didn't get their chance. They did try hard, but not quite enough. Movistar, there's another group out there that they put Einar Rubio up in the mix. They got a stage win by Peleo Sanchez. That was also impressive. I'm just flipping through here just to see if I need Team Visma Lisa Bike. Did they get a stage win? It feels like they did. Was that Jan Tratnik? Maybe I'll have to go back here. Let's see. Is there a stat that shows me? No, that's complimentary results. Well, you know, this is what we do. You go. There you go. Giro d'Italia 2020. I want to go to results. Do we just have stage results? I don't know. Maybe I know there's a way to do it here, but I'm not seeing it here. Maybe we'll just take a look here at the teams. Who else? Astana, they did okay. Bora, Cofidis. I think Cofidis did get their stage win in this race. Groupama, FDJ, okay. Intermarché Wanty, they were doing what they could. Israel Primertech, kind of disappointing race for them, honestly. Team DSM, Bardet gave his shot out there. So did Kevin Vermaak. They also played some really stupid team tactics at times. UAE, Bahrain victorious, getting Tiberi up there. They played some stupid team tactics at times. Look, one of the only things you could have really done here, people like, hey, how can Tadej be broached? What's his downfall? Well, it could have been his team, right? But I think Tadej was on such a different level compared to the people that were here that it wouldn't have made much difference what you did. But you could have tried to put him a little bit more under pressure, or his team under pressure, maybe isolate him, hope he gets a flat. But you didn't, because there were 2 or 3 times, there were several times there where Ineos decided, hey, we're going to ride early on. We're not going to put UAE under pressure. We're going to release that pressure, and we're going to do it ourselves. Bahrain victorious. They did that a few times. There's just some weird tactical stuff. But other than that, I enjoyed this Giro, start to finish. Now, last year, the Giro to me crescendoed. Okay, it started to get close, and up until the end, till that final time trial, which was fantastic. The sprint coming into Rome last year was a little whatever. It was almost felt like it was gifty to Cavendish, but it's what it was. A lot of people look back at that Giro and they say it was boring. They didn't enjoy it. I get it, but when you look at it as a book, right? Like we've said this before, chapters by themselves, or sometimes it's a boring chapter. You just got to have character development. But then you get to the end and you're like, okay, that was fantastic. I like the way that finished. I love the way the Giro finished last year. Great race. Tour, by the way, very similar up until stage 16, 17. It was back and forth, with just a few seconds, and then it exploded. So there you go. And then it was a little bit boring for the end because you knew exactly what was going to happen. The Vuelta for me was fantastic. Sepp Kuss wins. I think you knew Visma, Jumbo at the time, was going to win the race. You just didn't know which one. So the inter-team squabble was exciting to me. And were they going to allow basically Sepp Kuss to get the win, which he deserved? So now you have the question, can Tadej win the Giro? He did. And by the way, look at the competition here. All those other riders that come out and they complain, whatever. You could have shown up. Okay, you could have done this. Now, some of those guys crashed. Roglic wouldn't have been able to make it. He crashed and had some problems. He needed to recover. He's probably had the best outcome of the crash that we saw of the three. Evenepoel, he had to have surgery, a scapula. Vingegaard, he had lungs and ribs and problems there. So they all had trouble. None of them can show up here, but I'm hoping that the way we have it, that the Tour puts them into position where they are the best. I think the only rider that can really put Tadej into trouble is Vingegaard. And what we saw here was something that Tadej kind of had to put to bed, which is, can you do these long stages and still be able to kick it at the end? Because that's been some of your problems against Jonas. Now, he was never put into a position where he had to hold wheels or chase people down. He just attacked and they were gone immediately. So it's a different situation to some extent there, but Tadej is perhaps a new coach. Well, he does have a new coach, but perhaps it's that, and he's on a different level than he has been before. Jonas, we'll see how he is coming into the race, but it's going to make for a fantastic Tour de France. What's more impressive, Brian says, one rider winning all three tours in 1 year or one team winning all three tours with three different riders? I don't think that's a question at all. One rider winning all three is ridiculous because you're redundant here. Well, not redundant. You said three different riders. That's very impressive. But as an example, it can't happen this year. Who are the three riders that the Visma would even put up to be able to win those? I still think you can have a Sepp Kuss win. I still think you can have a Vingegaard win. Who's going to be the other rider that can even come? Keon Utebrooks, he kicked the bucket long ago on this race. So he's a little young. You're not going to have it. So it's just not going to. But by the way, one rider. Look, how impressed was everybody last year with the fact that Sepp Kuss rode 3 Grand Tours, wins the last one. Okay, top 20 in the Tour. He crashed pretty hard. Stage 18, 19, somewhere in there. And so, he lost a bit of time, and then, but I think he would have been top 15, but he was still top 20. And then close to that on the Giro. We'll take a look here. Take a look at the Giro for last year. Giro d'Italia 2023. Final GC. Sepp Kuss, 14th place in the Giro last year. That's okay. That's obviously top 15. He wins the Vuelta. And the Tour de France, he was 12th. That's impressed with Sepp Kuss. Yeah, exactly. Odds of one team having 3 riders that can win a Grand Tour is unlikely. Yeah, so last year was an anomaly on that respect. And by the way, you look at the races themselves, it comes in 14 seconds is all that Primož Roglic was able to win the Giro by. Sepp Kuss, by the way, just letting you break it down, if you've done any of the, I'm trying to remember what stage it is, I think it's 16 or 15, there is a stage there where Sepp Kuss rides on the front for about 8-10 kilometers for Roglic, who gets dropped by Almeida and Geraint Thomas in the high mountains, and he does exceptional work finally pulling because Roglic is done. And so, by the way, you look at that and then you win by 14 seconds and you go, oh, and then you're a piece of shit in the Vuelta about this guy that literally helped you win this race. Like overall, it was very impressive. I don't know, maybe you're right, Brian. Maybe it's more impressive that 3 riders do this, but we'll have to see if, Tadej comes in and wins it. Is he again then going to, I say do it. I say give it a shot. Why not? I know the Olympics are this year. Maybe it's not going to happen, but give it a shot. If you win all 3 in a year, that's fantastic. Maybe you win World Championships. Maybe you win the Tour de France. Maybe you win the Olympics as well. And then we start to have the questions about drugs and whatnot. Now, I will say this. I listened to the cycling podcast, and they were doing a comparison with Eddie Merckx and Tadej Pogacar, and was it them? No, I'm sorry, it was the Latin Rouge, and Benji said, hot take, the difference between those is Eddie Merckx was caught cheating for drugs 3 times. Yeah, he got kicked out of the Giro, as a matter of fact. So that's a little odd, but we venerate him anyway, but that's from Tyler Yonke, have you been going for rides? Okay, so are you fat shaming me? Is that Is that what I'm hearing? I've been going for rides. I've been trying to. Life's tough. I'm got in the office this week. I got to do a lot of stuff because this coming Saturday, I fly out to South Carolina for a few days, and then we go to Nashville so we're gone for a week. Come back. I'm home for 2-3 days, and then we got to go up to the Northwest. My son's graduating college. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to start running. That's what I'm gonna have to start doing, because otherwise, I'm just becoming kind of a bit of a fatty. I guess that's what you would say. I don't know. Okay, everybody, that's it for the Giro. Till next time, take it away, Chris Froome.
Froome now, he goes on the offensive, he goes on the attack over the top of this final climb, and nobody at the moment can go with him.
He had 75 kilometres to go, and now under the Flamme Rouge, and there he is still, the virtual Maglia Rosa on the road. Who would have thought it at the start of today?